Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a moment to truly reflect on something that is often misunderstood, wrongly portrayed, and at times dangerously simplified. When a man faces disrespect, especially from a woman, how he responds is not just about that specific moment. It speaks volumes about his values, his self-control, and the direction his life is heading in. A real man doesn't respond with blind anger, nor does he retreat in silence. He stands with purpose. He shows calm. He knows that true strength doesn't come from physical force. It comes from his calm presence. Real strength isn't about overpowering others. It's about having the self-control to stay composed when tested. A weak man may either explode in anger or shrink back in silence. But a man with strength handles things differently. He knows that respect isn't something you can just demand, it's something you earn. And how does he earn it? By becoming the kind of man who deserves it, by speaking with firmness, not fear, by carrying himself with quiet confidence, not with pride, by creating his own standards instead of chasing after approval. A real man doesn't accept open disrespect, but he also doesn't allow himself to be pulled into emotional drama by people who don't value him. He is steady, like a mountain, not wild like a storm. When a woman disrespects him, he replies with clarity, not cruelty. He puts boundaries in place, not threats. He leaves situations that take away from his self-worth, not because he is weak, but because he honors himself. Remember, getting pulled into emotional back and forths is a waste of energy. A disciplined man knows where his energy should go, into building, not arguing, into creating, not complaining, into leading, not reacting. He doesn't drop to the level of those who live in conflict. He rises above, choosing a space where respect is the only language spoken. And most importantly, a strong man leads by what he does. He doesn't let the disrespect of others change who he is. He doesn't copy the worst behaviors of those around him. He rises above them. If a woman in his life cannot see or respect the values he lives by, he doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't try to control her. He doesn't seek revenge. He simply walks away. And in doing so, he says more than any angry words ever could. So men, here's a lesson that's both simple and powerful. Handle disrespect not with a reaction, but with calm determination. Not with anger, but with understanding. Not from a place of weakness, but from wisdom. A man who controls himself has already won, because real masculinity isn't shaken by another person's disrespect. A truly strong man knows that power doesn't come from raw anger or control. It comes from self-mastery. Strength, in its purest form, is not shown by forcing your will on others, but by being able to manage your own reactions. A man with true power doesn't let himself get pushed into careless actions. He doesn't explode in rage or give up quietly. Instead, he stays steady and makes intentional choices. When he faces disrespect, the man without discipline either blows up or hides his emotions until they eat away at him. He thinks his only options are to fight back or avoid the problem. But a man with real strength sees there's a third way. He knows that reacting emotionally to every insult doesn't show strength, it shows weakness. He doesn't give other people the power to control his emotions, his behavior, or his sense of worth. His actions are guided by the order he has inside, not the chaos happening around him. Restraint doesn't mean he's not strong. It's actually the highest form of strength. A man who has the power to act but chooses not to use it in harmful ways is far more respected than one who is easily provoked. The ability to stay calm during tense moments is a sign that he has control over himself, over the situation, and over the relationships involved. This level of discipline separates the leaders from the followers, the wise from the foolish, the strong from the weak. But that doesn't mean a man should allow disrespect to go on forever. He doesn't just sit back and take it, allowing himself to be drained by those who don't see his value. He creates firm boundaries, not with hate, but with firmness. His reaction is clear, steady, and strong. He doesn't make things worse by picking unnecessary fights, nor does he chase approval by trying to win arguments. He understands that his real power lies in knowing when to speak, when to walk away, and when to remain still. Some situations need a response, some require walking away, and some simply call for a calm, knowing smile. Being able to hold back and respond with thought instead of emotion is what makes a man truly powerful. The world is full of people who mistake loud reactions for real strength. But the man who can stay still, unbothered by small-minded provocations, has something far more valuable: mastery over himself. Respect isn't something that can be forced on others. You can't demand it, and you can't manipulate people into giving it to you. A man who truly earns respect knows it must be built slowly, shown through his actions, his calm, and his values. People don't respect empty words. They respect what you consistently show them. They don't admire empty pride. They admire the steady confidence of a man who knows himself, knows his principles, and knows what he brings to the table. A weak man tries to force people to respect him because he lacks the qualities that naturally bring respect. He may raise his voice or try to control others, mistaking fear for admiration. But fear doesn't last, and the kind of power built on fear falls apart the moment people stop being afraid. True respect, on the other hand, is deeper. It comes when people recognize the true value of a man, his ability to stay calm under pressure, to lead, and to provide direction. It grows when others see that his actions come not from insecurity but from solid confidence. That confidence is born from competence. A man who is skilled, sharp, and successful in his efforts doesn't need to prove his worth. His results speak for him. Whether it's in his work, his relationships, or his personal growth, he shows his value through what he does, not through what he says. From this competence comes confidence. When a man knows what he's capable of and trusts himself to handle whatever comes his way, people naturally respect him. He doesn't need to brag. His self-belief is visible in how he stands, how he talks, and how he handles pressure. But confidence and competence are not enough without integrity. Integrity is what earns lasting respect. Anyone can look strong for a short time, but only a man who sticks to his values, even when it's hard, keeps the respect of those around him. Integrity means doing what's right, even when it's uncomfortable. It means keeping your word, being honest, and living in a way that matches your beliefs. A man with integrity doesn't change who he is just to get approval or personal benefit. He stands strong in his values even when others try to push him off track, because his sense of self isn't tied to temporary situations. He knows who he is, and that unshakable identity is what makes him truly powerful. It is through a man's steady and consistent character that respect is truly earned, not by demanding it, but by offering undeniable evidence of his value. A man with inner strength understands that setting boundaries isn't about controlling others. It's a necessary part of honoring himself. He doesn't create these boundaries out of anger, fear, or a need to manipulate. He does it because he knows his own value. He realizes that allowing others to ignore his principles, waste his time, or overlook his needs will only lead to resentment, frustration, and a loss of self-worth. Boundaries are not there to shut people out. They define how a man interacts with the world. A man lacking strength either avoids making boundaries at all or enforces them with anger and hostility. He might put up with being disrespected for too long, convincing himself that being passive is noble, only to explode in anger when he feels pushed too far. Or he might swing in the opposite direction, using threats or aggressive behavior to try and make people comply. But true strength lies not in silence or in control. It lies in calm, confident clarity. A man who knows his worth doesn't need to raise his voice or intimidate others to be taken seriously. He just calmly states what he allows and what he does not, and he follows through with those standards through his actions. When a man sets boundaries out of self-respect, not bitterness, he stays in control emotionally. He doesn't feel pressured to over-explain himself. He doesn't let fear of rejection or guilt pull him away from his principles. He knows a boundary isn't an act of aggression, it's simply a clear line that protects his peace and well-being. And if someone refuses to honor those boundaries, he doesn't plead or argue. He walks away. He chooses not to stay where his values are ignored. This keeps bitterness from building up inside. When boundaries are expressed with hidden anger or silent resentment, they stop being a sign of self-respect and start becoming emotional weapons. A man of strength doesn't carry grudges against those who test his limits. He doesn't see boundaries as a way to punish anyone, but as a way to protect his inner calm. By doing this, he builds relationships built on mutual respect instead of guilt or fear. He surrounds himself with people who recognize and appreciate his presence. A man with discipline knows that chaos is a challenge, not a chance to lose control. When emotions rise, when others disrespect him, or when people try to pull him into their emotional mess, he doesn't respond without thinking. He doesn't let himself get caught in pointless arguments, and he doesn't spend energy proving himself to those who enjoy drama. He remains calm and grounded. He knows that once he gives in to emotional chaos, he loses not only control of the moment, but of himself. A weak man gets triggered easily. He thinks that reacting strongly means he's powerful, but reacting with anger, defensiveness, or aggression only shows a lack of discipline. When he lets someone else's instability shape his behavior, he gives away his power. He becomes controlled by the outside world, losing touch with his own values. His emotions get wrapped up in conflicts that don't help him grow, and he wastes energy on struggles that should have been avoided from the start. The man who is disciplined knows not every battle is worth his time. He understands that stepping into chaos usually leads to regret and wasted strength. Sometimes staying quiet, offering a thoughtful reply, or simply walking away is far more powerful than shouting or fighting. His calm energy makes people pay attention because it comes from confidence, not from needing approval. People around him feel that he isn't easily shaken, and that steadiness gives him influence that cannot be gained through intimidation. That doesn't mean he avoids confrontation when it truly matters. A strong man stands firm when his values, his loved ones, or his mission are being threatened. But even then, he acts with thought, not with wild emotion. He doesn't let the drama of others control him. He stays in control within the storm. He knows that true strength doesn't come from overpowering others, but from staying in full command of his thoughts, his emotions, and his choices. By not getting pulled into useless arguments or emotional messes, he protects his energy and uses it for what really counts. He makes choices based on wisdom, not impulses. And by doing that, he rises above the noise, showing that true power lives in calm discipline, not loud reactions. A man who truly knows who he is and what his role in life is doesn't wait for others to lead. He becomes the example. He doesn't waste time pointing out flaws in others. He works on bettering himself. He knows that the best way to influence others is not by telling them what to do, but by living out the principles he believes in. People don't follow advice alone. They follow the example they see. So instead of trying to force or convince others, he simply becomes the proof of his beliefs. A man without strong values reacts to the world around him. If he's surrounded by lies, he starts lying too. If people treat him with disrespect, he returns the same energy. If others around him lack discipline, he lets himself become careless too. He lets his environment shape him instead of taking control of it. But the strong man, the man who changes things, chooses a different path. He doesn't drop his standards because others have low ones. He stays honest even when it's hard. He stays focused even when everyone around him gives in to distractions. He stays calm in moments when others lose control. This kind of man earns real respect without asking for it. People start to recognize how steady he is, how dependable, how committed to his values he remains, even if they don't understand him at first. But over time, his consistency shows everyone around him that he's someone worth listening to, someone worth trusting. And this is where real influence comes from, not from power or pressure, but from living with quiet strength, from being resilient, and from setting the right example. A man who leads through example knows that his actions affect more than just himself. He's aware that others are watching. His friends, his children, his team, even strangers. He doesn't expect perfection from everyone, but he makes sure he holds himself to a higher standard, because he knows people rise when they see someone ahead of them leading with honor. By living the values he believes in, honor, courage, discipline, and responsibility, he becomes a light for others to follow. He does not let the world change him in a negative way. He changes the world around him for the better. Through his strength, his actions, and his steady commitment to the values he lives by, he transforms not only himself but also the people and the culture he touches.